saying, hey, it might be time to finally get a home. What's the first thing I need to do? Ironically, the first thing you need to do isn't actually go look at a bunch of homes. The first thing you need to do is figure out, how are you going to pay for the home? So maybe you've got $1.5 million, $2 million of cash laying around and you can be a cash purchaser. That's great, but you're the exception. That's not the rule. So most people actually need to borrow on the front end, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Frankly, where rates are right now, where you can get 30-year fixed rate mortgages for 2.5%, 2.75%, that's below the rate of inflation. So the smarter financial move is actually borrowing. So even if you are in a position to buy a house all cash, the smarter thing to do is probably to buy it all cash and then refinance after that so you get the value of leverage. So you're going to buy a home. You say, you know what, I'm going to finance my purchase. So how do you pick the best lender? Well, first of all, what makes someone the best? Quite simply, the best lender in our market, where the number of buyers far outweigh the number of homes for sale, is the lender who is going to help you win. The lender who's actually going to be a value add and help you secure a home. So oftentimes when a seller picks through multiple offers, they don't necessarily pick, sometimes they do, but they don't always pick the highest offer. They typically pick the offer that's the best blend of price and terms. You know, the strongest offer isn't always the one for the most money. So you want to kind of apply the same discipline when picking a lender. It's not all about rate. Now, rate's very, very important, but you want to ultimately pick the lender that gives you the best rate and the best overall value proposition, the strongest lender, someone who's going to be able to get on the phone with the folks selling the house and really sell your financial bona fides to help you get an offer accepted. And that's certainly something. We have a lot of strong people that we work with regularly. We can plug you in with someone at any of the big banks or several brokers who are, top 1% performers, people that, again, are really going to not just give you a great rate, but close very quickly, be very, very strong performers, and really have a good track record, which will sell and project confidence to the seller of the home. All right, so you found a lender that you like. What happens next? Well, at the very least, you need to let that lender go ahead and pre-approve you. So in certain parts of the country, you can buy a house with what's called a pre-qualification letter. You can get a pre-qualification letter, basically just 5 or 10 minutes on the phone. They're going to ask you some questions, you're going to give them some answers, and they're going to trust, but there's not a whole lot of verification. Our market's not like that. Again, this is a very, very competitive market where there's far more buyers than there is quality homes for sale. So at the very least, you have to have a pre-approval letter in hand. In order to get a pre-approval letter, you're going to have to provide a few things to the lender. It might take you an hour to get everything together. You're going to have to provide your last 2 pay stubs. You're going to have to provide a couple months of bank statements. You're going to have to provide your last 2 years of tax returns. And ultimately, you're also going to have to let them run your credit. Don't worry so much about letting the lender run your credit. In fact, you can let 15 lenders run your credit. So long as they do it within a 45-day period, that only counts as 1 credit pull to your record. So there's a misconception that I really don't want to shop around for the best rate because each time my credit gets run, it's going to have a negative impact. That's not the case. So long as it's within a 45-day period, you could have 15, 20, 25 different lenders pull your credit. I wouldn't encourage you to have that many lenders pull your credit. That's a waste of time. But if you have multiple lenders do it, it only counts as 1 credit pull. So at the end of that process, you'll get a pre-approval letter, which will say, hey, I'm able to purchase, we are pre-approved this person to buy a house up to this price point with a loan up to this loan amount with a rate up to this rate. That's good. It's not the best. If you're looking for something that's going to be better, something that's going to help you win even more than a pre-approval letter, what you can obtain is what's called an underwritten pre-approval letter. So when a pre-approval letter is generated, that basically just stays with the loan officer, the person, your main point of contact. And again, that's something they can typically churn out in, maybe an hour or so. Underwritten pre-approval takes it a whole nother level. So what normally happens is once you get in contract, the 21 to 30 days that you're in contract before you close on the home and the home becomes yours. Most of the heavy lifting that's done during that period is actually being done by the bank. And particularly it's being done by the bank's underwriter, the lender's underwriter. So what they're doing is they're going through a lengthy checklist generated by Fannie Mae to make sure that all the requirements to ultimately resell the loan on the secondary market are met. So they're going to verify your employment. They're going to verify basically everything you've told them to make sure that you're not a real credit risk. So when you're getting an underwritten pre-approval letter, what they're doing is they're doing a lot of that heavy lifting up front. It's a lot of work, so you don't want to have more than one lender go through the process of doing underwritten pre-approval, and some lenders call it credit approval. The idea is your package leaves the loan officer. It's actually going to the underwriter, and they're spending significant time working it. So once you have the underwritten pre-approval letter in hand, what that does is it projects confidence to a seller and the seller's representative, because this isn't just someone that has a pre-approval letter. This is someone whose file has already been fully underwritten. So this is almost as good as cash. So if you have a pre-approval letter, which is good, you have underwritten pre-approval, which is better, and it's almost as good as cash, what can be best? Well, best is cash. But we've already established not too many people have $1.5 million or $2 million sitting in the bank. So best case scenario, it's not something that's needed on every home, but in particularly competitive homes where there might be 10, 15, 20 or more offers, what we can do is we have partners that we work with and have a good relationship with who can front you the money to make a cash purchase of a home. The cost of doing that is typically 1%. So for an additional 1%, they're going to give you all that money up front. You can purchase the house with about a 7 or 8 day close cash. And again, that's something that really sweetens the pot with sellers, particularly if it's a distressed seller or if it's a seller that needs to sell quickly. What it's not uncommon to see is a cash offer can typically get a property at a 3 to 4% discount over a financed offer because it's such a sure thing. So wrapping up, remember, when you're picking a lender, that's the most important thing you can do up front is figure out how you're going to pay for a home and pick a lender. The most important thing isn't always the rate. The most important thing is winning, particularly in markets like we have now, where it's not uncommon to see the cost of a home appreciate 1%, sometimes even 2% over a month, 5, 6, 7, 8% over half a year. The cost of not having a strong lender, someone who's not helping you win, that opportunity cost is considerable. And it's a lot more than 1/8 of a point on an interest rate. So we'll cap it there. If you have any questions at all, if you just want to talk through any of this, if you want someone to brainstorm with, by all means, feel free to reach out. Be happy to help.